Just want to say thank you for purchasing the pattern toolkit from my Creative Market shop. It really does mean a lot to me, your support, and I hope that this toolkit really helps you as a designer to streamline your workflow and cut down on some of the tedious work of creating ruled lines and such. So I hope it saves you some time that is better spent doing other things in your life. And if you do like this toolkit, if it turns out to be really useful for you, I definitely suggest checking out the Dot Grid Seamless Pattern Toolkit, also in my Creative Market shop. It's similar to the ruled lines, except obviously dot grids. So something to check out if you really like this one. If you have any feedback on this toolkit, I'd love to hear it. Feel free to drop me an email or a private message on Creative Market. My contact information is in the instruction PDF. Now, I am just going to go over a few things with this toolkit that I think will help you get the most out of it. I have detailed all of this in the included instruction PDF, so I'm just going to follow along with that and try to give you the visual to accompany those written instructions. Now again, if you have any questions at any point, any feedback on the patterns or the tools or anything, then just pop me an email or send me a private message on Creative Market. So let's get started. First of all, I've included pre-made patterns in black, white, blue, and gray. If you need other colors, if you want to change the lines colors, it's really pretty simple to do, and I'm going to show you that first. There are two different ways you can do that. First is using a clipping mask, and second is using a layer style. But it's important to note that with both methods, you have to use the PNG files. It seems like it used to work with the Photoshop patterns, but it doesn't work in the current version of Photoshop CC. I don't know if that's just my memory playing tricks on me or if they did something to the update, but you do have to use the PNG files to change the colors. So not a big deal. I will show you an easy way to resize the PNG files to fit specific shapes and areas and whatnot without having to mess up the spacing on them at the end of the video. So first of all, let's change the color of the lines using a clipping mask. So let's see. Obviously, the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your Photoshop document, and then I'm using a Mac, by the way, obviously. After you've got your document open, you need to import your lines, whichever lines you want to use. I'm going to use the 5x5 tile of the narrow rule here, and I just dropped it in. There are other ways to do it, I'm sure you probably know. So anyway, I'm putting that at the bottom, and I'm going to click on the next layer up, draw myself a shape in a beautiful hot pink, and you can change that color obviously to make the lines whatever color you want them to be. I'm going to go with orange, and then go to the layers panel, right click, and hit create clipping mask. Ta-da! Couple of things. You need to make sure that that clipping mask is on the layer directly above your lines, and make sure it's also sitting on top of the lines in the design, because as you can see, if it's not actually on top of the lines, it will only color whatever part of the lines it's sitting on. So make sure it's sitting and completely covering the lines in your design. Now, if you need to change the color of the clipping mask, super simple, just change the color. You don't have to release the clipping mask at all. Pretty easy. Now, if you need to take the clipping mask off for whatever reason, just right click and hit release clipping mask. Now, I'm going to show you real quick how to use the clipping mask if you have to use multiple tiles. Now, one thing when you're using multiple tiles, make sure that you are dragging and dropping additional tiles from your file instead of just duplicating layers, because if you just duplicate the layer, it does not create a new smart object, and any cropping or editing that you do to one of them will affect all of the others within the smart object. So my suggestion is always drag and drop a new one instead of duplicating layers. So once you have your multiple tiles, and you can do as many as you need, you're going to want to group them into the same group, and then create whatever the shape you want to use as a clipping mask. And again, make sure it covers the entire pattern. You can always extend it quite a ways. It's not a big deal if you've got extra space, but if you don't have enough, it can create issues. So anyway, once you've got it where you want it, do the same thing, create clipping mask, and bam, it'll apply to anything within the group immediately below it. So just to review really fast, if you're using multiple tiles, put them all in the same group, and then put your clipping mask immediately on top of that group. So there's method 1 for changing the color. Method 2, again, start by dragging and dropping, and then you can use your layer styles like this to apply whatever kind of cool effects you want. So those are gold sparklies, got pink sparklies, all kinds of cool watercolors and foils and stuff. So that's a way to get fun effects on your lines, is to use the layer styles. And I have included links in the instruction PDF to all of the layer style packs that I use on a regular basis. So make sure to check those out if you are interested in layer styles. So that's how we change the color, the 2 methods you can use for changing the line colors. And then after that, let's see. So let's show you how to load the pattern files. So I've included these as the PDF, or excuse me, the PNGs, which are pretty simple to use. A little unwieldy though. I've also included .pat files, which are pattern overlays for Photoshop, and they are so simple and so easy that it literally only takes 1 click. See, check this out. I drew a shape, and I have my patterns already saved into my toolbox, but you draw a shape, whatever size and shape you want, and then you can just apply whatever rule of line you want to use. So I'm going to show you how to load those really quick. The first method, and just so you know, you do not have to have a fill color on your shape to apply the pattern preset, which is great because that way if you're using it against something with a background, it makes it transparent. So anywho, the first way to load the pattern presets is to go down here to the bottom right under blending options, go to pattern overlay, and then in the pattern box hit this little arrow and then the cogwheel, and then hit load patterns and navigate to wherever you have them saved. So for me, they're right here. If you've got them in the same place as they are in the zip file, then that's where they're going to be, under Toolkit 1, PS pattern overlays, and they're all saved into that one ruled lines.pat. So you'll hit OK on that. It'll load the 4 patterns here for you. It's got the wide rule, medium 1, medium 2, and narrow. And the cool thing about this is when you resize, it doesn't mess with the spacing at all. It maintains the same pattern across whatever size you're going to use. So that's kind of neat. Super easy to use. If you're just going to use black lines, that's the route I suggest you go. If you need to change the colors, then obviously you'll have to use the PNGs. And in just a minute, I'll have some tips and ideas for you for working with the PNGs that'll make it a little easier. Now, there is a second way to load those patterns, and it has to do, you go to Window, Tool Presets, and then Load Tool Presets. Oh, hang on. Let's see. Okay, sorry, that's not the way to do it. Let me see. You need to go to the preset manager. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Preset manager, preset type, patterns, and then load, and then again navigate to wherever it's saved, and then just hit load. There you go. See? Open. Okay? All right. So those are the two main things that I wanted to show you, changing the colors and loading the patterns. A few other tips and tricks for using the patterns, and these are all outlined in the instruction PDF too. Another thing I wanted to point out is that you can, with those patterns, you can actually create lines in pretty much any shape that you want. Just grab your shape tool and then pick a shape. Let's try an X. And then draw your shape. And I'm going to give it an empty fill. And then just do the same thing, pattern overlay, and bam, look, we've got an X with ruled lines. How neat is that? Something else that I wanted to show you is that resizing when you're using the PNGs, resizing them is obviously going to affect the spacing between them. So if you want, like this one, the narrow rule is a 1/4 inch spaced, but that's when using it in the ready-made 5x5 or 10x10 tile. If you make it bigger, then obviously that's going to affect the amount of space between the lines. So what I would suggest, instead of resizing it like that, is to use multiple tiles. And again, make sure you're dragging and dropping and not just duplicating. But see, obviously now this goes way off. So the reason I tell you to drag and drop new tiles in instead of duplicating layers is this. They're all connected. So if you double click on the layer thumbnail, it will bring you into the smart object. And if you duplicate layers, it's gonna, any edits you make here will affect all of your tiles. By dragging and dropping new ones in every time, it gives you a new smart object that you can make changes to without affecting the other tiles. So, which is great if you need to get rid of a little bit of the lines. So what we're gonna do here now that we're in the smart object window, what we need to do is remove that right section of lines that's going off into the margins. So grab your rectangular marquee and then select a chunk of the lines and hit delete, and then save the smart object, buzz back over, and see we're not quite all the way within the margins, so we need to kill just a little bit more. Control S. Okay, tad little bit more. And if you end up deleting too much, it's not hard to go back in and undo and start back over. There we go. Perfect. So now we have two tiles perfectly set between the margins. One last thing that I want to show you. These lines are kind of thin. They're made specifically for making ruled note pages and stuff, and they're great for that. But if you do decide you want to use them in branding or on clothing or anything like that, you're probably going to need a bolder line. So what I would suggest doing in that case is layering. See, the more that you put in there, the stronger your line is going to get. So just layer it on. You can always stagger them by a little bit. See, that makes a huge difference and all I did was give it one arrow up, and then I put in another one with one arrow down, and we've got a much bolder line already. So that'll make a big difference in the thickness of your lines. I am planning on adding some additional weights and colors and line styles in the next couple of weeks. So if you have any requests, please let me know. I hope you found this video tutorial helpful. If you have any questions or need anything at all, or like I said, if you have any requests or feedback, whatever, please feel free to drop me an email or a private message on Creative Market. My email address is jennifer@mommyandkumquat.com. That's spelled out in the instruction PDF. You can also find a link to my website there, themnkdesignstudio.com. I've got lots of great stuff there, including pre-made printable designs that you can download and then resell or give away for free. I also have all kinds of Boss Babe inspired goodness, artwork and t-shirts and mugs and cool gifts and whatnot. So definitely something you should check out. There is a coupon code in the instruction PDF that will get you 10% off your total purchase. So again, let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for purchasing and watching my video. Thanks.